We are back in my classroom to do another really cool at-home experiment. This one is learning how to take your fingerprints, and you can do this for your whole family. You can even take toe prints using this method. It's really neat. It's called carbon printing, and it's very simple. All you need is some paper, you need some tape, and a pencil, and that's it. So let me grab pencil. Thank you, those of you that sit at the hydrogen table, for letting me borrow your supplies. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to take our pencil and we're going to scribble just a little deposit of carbon right here on our paper. Now, the stuff that comes out of our pencil is actually carbon. A lot of people might refer to it as lead. Oftentimes if our pencil breaks, we're like, I broke my lead. That's because pencils used to be filled with lead, but why are they not anymore? Anybody? 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 Right, because lead is toxic, and that's not cool. So now they are filled with something called graphite, and graphite is made from carbon. So I've just scribbled a little bit on my paper. Now, it's real fun to scribble until you have so much carbon on here that it's shiny. That's really fun to do, but that doesn't really work very well with this technique. So you're just going to want to scribble lightly or kind of medium. Okay, so now that I've got some carbon on my paper, I'm sure many of you have experienced this. If you're doing a drawing in art in pencil and you end up with a bunch of pencil or carbon stuck on either side of your hand because you've been doing your drawing, it's exactly what we're going to do here. So I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to rub it. Let me move this back so you can see right there on that spot. Okay, and it makes my finger kind of dirty. Now, with a tiny bit of Scotch tape, I don't need much, I'm just going to gently put that tape right on that spot, right over my fingerprint, and I'm going to push down. I'm not going to rub back and forth a bunch of times because I don't want to smudge it, okay? But when I lift off the tape, what do you think it's going to do? It's going to take the carbon with it, okay? And along with that, it takes my fingerprint. Now, it's a little bit hard to see just out in the air, so I'm going to put it on my white piece of paper. And you will see, let me see if my camera will focus, you get a pretty clear fingerprint. If your fingerprint doesn't turn out super clear, it's probably because the tape got smudged or maybe you had too much carbon on your finger, so just do it again. So now I can do more fingers. I'll take another one. A little bit of tape. Going to put it right on top. Gently push down, peel it off, stick it down. Fingerprint, number 2. Here I go again. And just like that, I have all of the fingerprints on my right hand. Now I can do my left hand also if I want to. But now I'm going to teach you how to figure out what kind of fingerprints you have. Because as we know, we all have different kinds of fingerprints. Every fingerprint in the whole universe is individual and unique. None of your fingerprints match each other, and none of your fingerprints match anybody else in the history of people, which is really quite amazing. But just like leaves, they can actually be grouped into prints that are similar to each other. And the most common kind of print is called a loop. And a loop print has lines, or what are called ridges, that go from one side up to the middle of the print and then back out, just like a loop would, like if you were tying your shoes and you were making 2 loops. Sometimes the loops go this way, sometimes they go this way, but it looks like this, okay? So to identify your fingerprints, you're going to want to look right in the middle, okay? The middle is what gives you the most information. And so you can see on the loop, the lines start up here, they loop up, and they go back out. The loop fingerprint, this is the most common. So when you're identifying your fingerprints, it's probably best to start here. And if it's not this, then you can rule this out. But chances are it probably is. I think I have about 8 loops on all of my fingers. So this one is the loop, okay? If it's not a loop, the second most common is called the whorl, okay? The whorl is really cool because it's like a bullseye, right? The whorl just goes around and around and around in the center, okay? So unlike the loop, it does not have lines that start from the side and go back out. It does out here, but this isn't the part that we want to look at. To identify your fingerprint, you need to look right in the middle, okay? So this one is called the whorl. And the least common, but it's still about 5% of the population has this kind. This is the arch, okay? So arch starts on one side, arches up, and goes back out the opposite side. Sometimes arches are sideways or even upside down. There's really not really a right side up or upside down with fingerprints. But this is the arch pattern. So again, you want to look in the middle and see in most of those ridges in the middle, what are they doing? And that will help you identify. Now, there are actually more complicated versions of these. There's a tented arch, there is a pocket loop, there's a double whorl, which is so cool. So you can Google fingerprint patterns and you can find a chart that has about 12 more common patterns if the ones that you have don't fit into these. But these are the 3 most common. These are the ones that we try to identify first when we're in class, and then we look at the more complicated ones a little bit later. So fingerprint yourself, fingerprint your family. Like I said, you can even do your toes and see if you can identify what kind of prints you have. I would be fascinated to know if there's any family that has a pattern. For instance, you have all 10 loops in all your family or something like that. That would be really interesting to know. So let me know. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed this little experiment, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye.